In the past 2 years, imaging has become a selling point for almost all smartphones, especially in the field of telephoto and tone, where competition is particularly fierce. Blue Factory is also one of the representative brands in this field, and various brands are joining forces to seek breakthroughs. What kind of solution can Vivo come up with this year? The just-released vivo X100 has delivered both the standard and Pro versions, equipped with two different quality periscope telephoto systems. According to our usual thinking, the Pro version must be ahead of the standard version by a few points. However, is this really the case? With this question in mind, let's first talk about this fresh and hot Blue Factory annual flagship today. In terms of hardware for the standard version of the vivo X100 imaging system, the vivo X100 is equipped with a rear triple camera combination. The main camera is an IMX9M 2050 megapixel ultra-sensitive micro CS biomimetic main camera, while the other two lenses are a 64 megapixel Zeiss ultra telephoto and a 50 megapixel ultra wide angle lens. Compared with the previous generation X90, this configuration's main camera has increased the light intake by 24.2%, the telephoto lens has increased the light intake by 85.5%, and the ultra wide angle lens has increased the light intake by 10%. At the same time, in terms of focusing, the vivo X100 also has a laser focusing module designed. In terms of actual performance, let's take a look at the old rules of the sample. Let's add the iPhone 15 Pro Max for comparison. Firstly, there is a comparison of the daytime samples taken by the main camera. From the samples, the difference in appearance between the two is not too significant. Relatively speaking, the vivo X100 has a more vivid color expression and a better appearance. In addition, in the comparison of the second set of samples, it can also be seen that the vivo X100 has a richer retention of dark details, while the iPhone 15 Pro Max has more loss of dark details. After enlarging the samples, there is also a slight difference in the resolution of the two phones. The details of the vivo X100 samples are still clearly visible after being enlarged. The iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the other hand, shows obvious signs of over-sharpening. Then let's take a look at the comparison between the two phones in terms of night scenery. The most obvious difference between these two groups is the significant difference in their ability to suppress highlights. The advertising billboard captured by iPhone 15 Pro Max has already shown significant glare, and the large text has even become blurry. The vivo X100 performs exceptionally well in suppressing highlights, with clear highlighted text and superior color presentation in the image. The iPhone 15 Pro Max license plate has almost shown a very noticeable color deviation, while the vivo X100 version still maintains a very accurate color reproduction ability. Next, let's take a look at the problems that occur when comparing two groups with one or two groups. There are still electronic screens that are overexposed to the left and upper parts of the third group of samples on these two groups, as well as significantly colored walls on the fourth group of samples. And through this comparison, we can also find that the image purity of the vivo X100 is higher. The black sky in the background position of the sample is clearly more pure and transparent than the vivo X100. The iPhone 15 Pro Max, on the other hand, seems to have a color palette obscured, and the difference between the main cameras of the two phones is quite noticeable. Finally, let's take a look at the performance of the two phones in extreme night scenes. I specifically found an underground garage with almost no lighting and not yet in use. Despite the fact that there are hardly many scene details visible to the naked eye, both phones have demonstrated impressive capabilities. But we can also clearly see that in such extreme scenarios, the performance of the vivo X100 is still a certain distance away from the iPhone 15 Pro Max. The brightness and richness of details in the sample photos are even better than those of the iPhone 15 Pro Max. Next, let's discuss in detail the color details of the vivo X100 full focus range. Let's take a look at a set of samples, which are taken at 0.65x, 1x, 2x, 3x, and 10x zoom, respectively. The most impressive thing for me is that after switching to the telephoto lens during the shooting process, the color consistency of the sample still remains, maintaining a relatively high consistency with the main camera. In terms of sample performance, the telephoto sample of the vivo X100 can be described as top-notch. Thanks to its ultra-high resolution of 64 megapixels, this telephoto lens can have extremely impressive resolution when zooming 3 times or 10 times. The clarity of the picture is excellent, and it left a deep impression on me during the first shooting, especially at 10x zoom, where there is almost no particularly noticeable noise in the delicate level of the picture. The performance of excessive sharpening is highly practical. From the performance of this telephoto, I am extremely firm in telling everyone that it completely crushes the iPhone 12 Pro. To ensure that this performance was not accidental, I changed the shooting scene and took another set of full-focus samples of the vivo X100, which still amazed me with the results. Compared to the previous set of samples, the overall visual appeal of the samples is higher due to the appearance of more colors. The image resolution of the 3x and 10x telephoto samples is still outstanding, as is the steel wire rope on the railing on the steel frame platform in the distance. And the seams on the steel beams are clearly visible. In my opinion, the presentation of such a powerful sample with ultra-long focus has indeed greatly improved the practicality of this lens. It has become a reality to directly use a mobile phone to shoot birds with high quality. Coming here, I can't help but want to share some beautiful pictures taken with the vivo X100 telephoto lens with everyone. First of all, there is the sample photo at triple zoom. It must be said that vivo's color tuning is very accurate, with bright colors but no obvious color deviation. The overall imaging effect is very eye-catching. After switching to triple zoom with the rubber connector, high-quality samples can be easily captured with just one shot. But my favorite ones are still the samples taken by vivo X100 in high light ratio scenes, such as the ones below. Under the recording of the vivo X100 lens, the light and shadow ratio of the sample images is very full of presentation power, and the captured samples also have a strong sense of story and tension with a strong humanistic atmosphere. This is also a point that I really like to wipe a telephoto for me. At 10x zoom, the atmosphere and humanistic atmosphere are still very strong, and it is highly commendable that after ultra-high zoom, the sample of the vivo X100 is displayed. Not only does it maintain an extremely delicate analytical power, but the atmosphere of light and shadow in the picture does not shrink compared to the triple zoom performance. The compressed space makes the story of the picture stronger, and each photo seems to contain a story that can be told to everyone. What surprised me even more is the impressive performance of vivo X1's telephoto and macro functions. Whether it is the veins on the petals or the fine fuzzy antennae of insects, they are all displayed very clearly and delicately under the ultra telephoto recording of vivo X100. For friends who love taking photos, it is strongly recommended to explore the micro world more. A unique shock and ultimate beauty. Of course, this ultra telephoto lens performs equally well in night scenes. Firstly, the performance under triple telephoto is impressive. It can be seen that the image under the night telephoto lens still maintains a very good brightness and transparency, with vivid and accurate color expression. The details of the sample are also well preserved, and there is no loss of dark details. The overall performance is still outstanding at 10x zoom. Ningxia is a real shooting sample, and it is commendable that even under ultra-high zoom, the vivo X100 sample still does not show any loss in image quality or color deviation, and the transparency of the image is still good, maintaining the imaging level of the main camera at night. The overall imaging level is commendable. Overall, in my opinion, the photography performance of the vivo X100 is quite comparable. Nowadays, there are many flagship models in the market that focus on photography, so in the comparison with the iPhone 15 Pro Max, there is a situation where the extreme night view is slightly inferior. However, in terms of resolution, color sample transparency, night high light suppression, and many other aspects, it has shown a crushing trend. For friends who value photography and enjoy taking photos, the performance of the vivo X100 will definitely not disappoint you. In terms of hardware, the vivo X100 is also quite attractive. The world's first deployment of the MediaTek Dimensity 9300 as the flagship chip of MediaTek this year, the MediaTek Dimensity 9300 also has a significant improvement. The design of the full-core architecture has greatly improved the performance of the chip while also reducing power consumption. Therefore, the vivo X100 version equipped with this chip has a score of 2.4 million on benchmark test, which is nearly 200,000 points higher than the Xiaomi 14 Pro series that I recently tested and equipped with the Snapdragon 8 Model 3 and 70,000 points higher than the iPhone 12 Pro. In terms of testing on this platform, the single-core score is 1,645 and the multi-core score is 7,098. The multi-core score directly surpassed the Snapdragon's 8 in score of 36,700, which can be said to be quite outrageous and exaggerated, almost leading one generation. I have to exclaim that Phage has really become hard. In the actual measurement of the game, there are still two old friends, King Glory and Genshin Impact. The average frame rate of the former is 119.8 and the latter is 59.6, both of which have achieved good results close to full frames. The frame rate of Genshin Impact is surprisingly flat. There is almost no large range fluctuation of frame rate in the whole process. The actual experience is smooth, which is impressive. Release the character's switching skill. They are very responsive, and the large-scale combat skills and special effects are also very smooth and cool, without any lag or frame drops. Of course, this is not over yet. What's even more outrageous is the temperature control performance of the Dimensity 933, which can be said to have set another record. After passing the 10-minute test of the Genshin G20P3, the highest temperature on the front of the phone was 41, and the highest temperature on the back of the body was 39. Compared with the Snapdragon 8 Gen 3 tested a few days ago, this result really achieved a comprehensive lead and overwhelmed temperature control performance. It is estimated that even the gaming phone Red Devil, which focuses on superheat dissipation, would be stunned. It's really hard to imagine how low the temperature data would break if the Weather 9300 was equipped with the gaming phone's cooling system. And in terms of power consumption performance, Tianji chews mulberry leaves without any inferior quality and still has a significant advantage in the face of the Snapdragon 8703. It can be seen that Phage has completely stood up. In terms of battery life, the vivo X100 is equipped with a large capacity battery of 5,000 mAh. When I was a child, my battery life performance was as follows, which shows the excellent power consumption performance of the Dimensity 9300. The improvement in battery life is still very intuitive. After testing, the remaining power of the vivo X100 is 58%. Although this data cannot be underestimated, it completely surpasses the charging of Snapdragon 8 and 3 models. The device supports 120-watt dual star flash charging, with 24% charging in 5 minutes and 67% charging in 15 minutes. It takes 28 minutes to fully charge, so it should be very sincere to give the standard version 120 watts. The appearance part, due to the early lifting of the ban, we won't go into too much detail in this video. By the way, let me mention the performance of the screen. The vivo X100 is equipped with a 678-inch Tenma Super Retina 8T eye protection screen with a resolution of 2800x1260. It supports a 120Hz refresh rate and 2860Hz high-frequency dimming. The tested screen has a manual brightness of 676 nits and an excitation brightness of 1 in 226 nits under sunlight. The display effect is quite good, with delicate and clear image quality and outstanding colors. Clear and comfortable viewing experience. In other aspects, the vivo X100 version also supports IP68 dust-proof and waterproof stereo dual speakers with a full-field X-axis motor and infrared remote control, aiming for a comprehensive balance. Overall, in my opinion, the vivo X100 is undoubtedly another comprehensive evolution of the vivo X series in terms of product form. Looking back at the 10 years of the X series, we can see Vivo's determination and strong execution in constantly exploring product form and technology, which is also the most fundamental and core reason that has helped Vivo brand stand firm. Just like Vivo once again choosing to hold a press conference at the Water Cube, 10 years is not only a summary of past phased products, but also like a heart that opens up the future and the next stage. Starting from the place 10 years ago, the new differentiated version can be said to be Vivo's best product for market users and themselves. Alright, that's all for this episode of the video. If this vivo X100 really moves you, you must subscribe to our channel and stay connected with us. Goodbye.